Bunch of Toronto Maple Leaf Blue Liners entering the building for a big game tonight against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Blue Liners entering on Pink Ribbon Night here at the Air Canada Centre as the NHL fights cancer. It is Pink Ribbon Night and special tie night for all of us here at Leaf Nation HQ. It's Molson Canadian Leaf Nation pregame for all of you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jody Vance along with Joe Bowen, our longtime play-by-play man, hockey analyst Mark Morrow, and our senior reporter Paul Henrik. And every one of us up on this stage right now has a story to tell about how cancer has somehow touched our lives. My mother is a cancer survivor thanks to early detection, long-time cancer-free. Joe,
yeah,
your well-documented fight with cancer with your son.
And Sean's 18 and going well after surviving leukemia, that's for sure.
And you are raising funds diligently, as you always do, in Holy Mackinac T-shirts go on sale around Christmas time, and also now the tie.
Yeah, we're going to auction a tie off, and it'd be a great cause. And hopefully it's Marty Garrod made these and did them hand painted, and there's only 5 of them, so it's a collector's item.
It's a collector's item, and what a great gift. I know it's a little early to be thinking about Christmas, but
no,
what a great I know, I'm half done with my... But mapleleafs.com, log on, you can bid on the Holy Mackinac tie, but you can also bid on the ties that we are wearing. Mark Morrow will autograph his tie. You just have to ignore the
stain,
small salad dressing.
The soup that's on it.
I don't know what they're talking about.
But you've had cancer through as in
your family.
I have. I had a grandfather that battled throat cancer. He was in remission. Unfortunately, he passed away due to other health conditions. And I also played with Brad Lieb, a former teammate, a guy who played a few games here for the Maple Leafs organization, whose mother passed away from breast cancer. And I remember the trouble and difficulty he went through when he had to experience that. So it's something that's affected all of us, that's for sure. And it's a great cause tonight to raise some money.
Yeah, I can say my mom and dad, guys, both survivors of cancer. My mom, breast cancer, got out of the hospital the day my daughter was born back in January 1994. I lost my father-in-law just over a year ago to prostate cancer. So I wear this pride, or tie with pride. Yeah. I wear it with hope, and I know all of us do.
Every penny makes a difference. This isn't about donating large sums of money. The pink ribbon is for breast cancer. The lavender tie with a little bit of pink to it is... Purple is the overall color for all cancers, and the NHL is really battling this horrible disease. So if you can make a little donation, please do. mapleleafs.com. The auction is ongoing. Time to talk some hockey and what's coming up on tonight's show. We've already touched on the Pink Ribbon Night. We'll have some people coming by and talk about some fundraisers that you won't believe, some money that's been raised for cancer research. Also, we'll talk about the nuts and bolts, the X's and O's, if you will, of hockey, as the D-men are standing out for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Even in losses, they've been close losses, and entertaining games nonetheless as well. Speaking of entertaining, very few more entertaining in the game today than Brian Burke. Had to sit down with him, and Andy Petrillo joins us now. And Andy, what do you have coming up on tonight's show?
Okay, for a second I thought you were saying I was the entertaining one. I'm happy you said Brian Burke, so I don't have much to offer. But Jody, let's stick with the defense, because a little later on in the show I'm going to talk to Rob Zettler. Right now the Leafs in a 3-way tie for 9th overall in the league with goals against. It is early in the season, and it is a work in progress, so assistant coach Rob Zettler will stop by and talk about the progress so far that the Leafs are making on the defensive side of things. Jody?
I think you are infinitely more entertaining than just about anybody, Andy. Thank you for that. And she looks great with the tie on.
Very nice.
Yes, the guys were giving her a hard time. Said she looked like she was working at Baskin-Robbins. Yes, you did. Headlines brought to you by Ford and powered by you.
Thank you very much, Jody. And our headlines, of course, simply put, heading into this game with Anaheim here tonight, lacking goal protection, familiarity for the bench boss of the Maple Leafs, and the continuing development of one Luke Shan. So headline number 1, Joe and Mark, lacking goal production. The Leafs, the second lowest scoring team in the NHL right now. Does changing this require a creative attack in the offensive zone, or simply, Joe, getting the puck at the net?
Well, I think a little of both, Paul. And you know the other thing, too, Jim Ralph the other night had a great line. He said the Leafs aren't talented enough to be unlucky. And when you're hitting goal posts or you're hitting bodies and things of that nature, the talent isn't quite there offensively, at least, and to make up for the breaks in the game, so to speak. So they have really got to kind of make sure that they get the puck to the net, especially tonight against a team that will take penalties. They've got to get the power play and get people at the point getting the puck to the net.
And one way, you talk about getting the puck to the net, one of the biggest assets on this team is their team speed. They've got to use that speed to drive the net. They've got to create some havoc in front of the opposing goalies, get traffic there, get their noses dirty. It's one thing to use your speed on the perimeter and then fire shots at the net, but it's another thing to get in there, get in the face of the goaltender, create some havoc, create traffic, make it very uncomfortable for him.
Familiarity as far as the bench boss is concerned for the Anaheim Ducks, and it starts with, as Jody, you've mentioned, going back to Providence College, and of course a schoolmate and playmate of one, Brian Burke, and of course a former coach in Anaheim and a nemesis as well with the Ducks. Does that mean anything here tonight as they take on the Ducks on behalf of the Maple Leafs, Joe?
Other than knowing how Anaheim plays and how they play well. And he mentioned in the press conference today, Detroit is a team that you skate with, and sometimes you're chasing smoke, but it's not usually a physical game. This is a physical game. You know you're in the game very quickly against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks because they do play. They're a big team, and they get on you, and they use the body. Now, they do take penalties, and they've been bemoaning the fact that they've been taking bad penalties. So hopefully, if you're a Leaf fan, you're hoping that they do take some bad penalties. And the Leaf power play's got to get kick-started. The Anaheim power play's been terrible, and so that may be the key of the game.
Well, surviving out in the West as far as the Anaheim Mighty Ducks and especially the San Jose Sharks, when coached by Ron Wilson, you knew how to prepare for a team such as this. And as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Ron isn't looking forward to any surprises as they take on the Ducks here tonight.
Oh, yeah, I'm fairly familiar with Anaheim. They're surprisingly kind of off to a bad start with only winning one game. So we're going to have our hands full here tonight. They're a good team. They're big, physical. They move the puck. They've got some really quick guys, but their strength is how quickly they move the puck. And obviously, they've got two Hall of Famers on the back end who are as good as any defenseman, if not the best pair of defensemen in the NHL. So it'll be a good test for our team.
Well, headline number 3, the continuing development of rookie Luke Schenn. Mark, I ask you, what is it about his emotional makeup that has enabled him to make the transition to the NHL as well as he has?
He's just so mature. It doesn't seem like anything rocks him. If you watch him play out there, he keeps getting put in key situations. In New York against the Rangers in overtime, shorthanded, he's the number one defenseman to roll over the boards and go on the ice, and it just doesn't faze him. He just keeps excelling with everything you throw at him. They said that in order to keep him here, he'd have to be a top 4 defenseman. He'd have to be getting those kind of minutes. He's third on the team in minutes right now, only behind Caberlet and Kavina, and he's excelling with it. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Joe, in your 2+ decades of calling the shots for this hockey team in the booth, is there a defenseman that you've seen come into his rookie year that matches up as well as Luke Schenn has here?
Mark Morrow's name comes to mind very quickly, but after that, probably not. But
No.
you know, it really is. It's a delight to see. I mean, back in the early '80s, the Leafs force-fed their defense through 3 young defensemen, and Bob McGill and Jim Benning and Fred Boymastruck, and they really didn't have enough people around them to protect them. Now, here's a young man that really doesn't need much protection. He's arrived and played exceptionally well, stands in there, he's carried the load, he is easing himself into doing other things as he progresses, but what he is doing now, he's doing exceptionally well, trying to keep things simplified, and boy, he's been a delight, absolute delight.
You know, I love the story about Luke Schenn, the fact that he doesn't know how long he's going to be here, so he's staying in a hotel, and he loves the fact that he comes back and his room's cleaned every day and he eats in restaurants all
It's
the
like
time.
Mom.
He's having a great old time.
Yeah.
Another great thing from earlier today was the sit-down opportunity I had with Brian Burke, and among other things, we spoke of his appointment as general manager of the U.S. men's Olympic team and how difficult it might be to win gold on Canadian soil. Here's a taste.
Well, trying to win a medal on Canadian soil, I have no illusions or delusions about how hard that's going to be. You know, Team Canada is going to be very formidable. The Russian team is going to be an awesome team. The Swedish team, the Finns. I mean, it's not an easy tournament to win, but that's our goal going in, and we're going to talk about just those things. You know, how loud it's going to be, how hostile the environment's going to be, and how we have to keep our focus. So we'll talk about that starting with our camp next summer.
Lots more from the sit-down interview with President and GM Brian Burke a little later on in the program, and including in that, we will talk about how some of their talented young players have been misfiring lately. Joe, will send you up to the booth.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back with more from Leaf Nation HQ on Molson Canadian Leaf Nation pregame. We'll be right back after this.